The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
Episode 438 of the Short Time Wrestling Podcast. News, reviews, previews, and interviews with the most notable names and relevant topics in the sport of wrestling. My name is Jason Bryant. I am stoked to bring you this episode today. We got the first interview with Neil Erisman, the head wrestling coach at Little Rock, the brand new head wrestling coach. Like the brand new, just drove it off the lot, not even 2 miles on the car. That type of brand new head coach, Neil Erisman. He is an Oklahoma State graduate. He's spent the last couple years working with Coleman Scott, Bryce Hassman, Tony Ramos at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And now he has a new mission, and that mission is to lead the Trojans of Little Rock starting in the 2019-2020 season. So that interview coming up here momentarily. Just wanted a couple announcements before we get to the interview. This summer has really been a summer of research, and the Matt Talk Online Fargo Almanac is being updated as we speak. You buy this once, you get free updates for life. MattTalkOnline.com/Fargo Guide, and that is all sorts of history, facts, stats, you name it. I think I got it for you. MattTalkOnline.com/Fargo Guide. Also, I'd like to thank Martin Fleming from North Carolina for bumping up his Patreon contribution this month. You can go to MattTalkOnline.com/Join the Team and figure out how and what level you can support this program. Also, Kevin Riley became a contributor to the program, offering up a donation via the one-time PayPal link. You can also do that at MattTalkOnline.com/contribute. And as I say on my daily wrestling newsletter, you want me to say your name on the show, hit that contribution link. That's what I got for you now. As far as my little housekeeping things to go, Neil Erisman coming up now here on Short Time. And now we are talking to Neil Erisman, the new head coach for the Trojans of Little Rock's team, the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, or simply, as we call it, Little Rock. Neil, congratulations on the gig, man. This has got to be quite an exciting time for you.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's just been an incredible last couple of days, just, accepting the job and going through this process, and I'm just unbelievably excited.
As we record this on June 20th, the announcement came around 9 o'clock Central Time here, but 3.5 hours later, we're sitting down to talk about it. You said just before we started that you've had to recharge your phone twice already. I mean, what's the outpouring of support been like?
Oh man, the support has been awesome. I've gotten more phone calls and texts and emails just from family, people that I know, people I don't know. Just everybody reaching out and saying how happy they are and excited for me and my family and for this program. It's been incredible.
Division I coaching openings don't come up that often, and especially brand new ones where you get to start from scratch. Mark Cody has that opportunity at Presbyterian. You now have that opportunity at Little Rock. And first things first, what made you want to apply for this position?
Well, looking at it, I remember, I think they announced it at Nationals, and the day, Nationals was over. Just try to find a bunch of information out about it. I think first and foremost, it's location. I grew up in Kansas, and, wrestled Oklahoma State. I have been all through Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas. I've been to Arkansas a lot. And so I think the location was the first thing. And then just finding out that Greg Hatcher was behind it. Everything he touches turns to gold. And he does it the right way, the respectable way. So, from there, it was really just instantaneous. I was excited from day one, and I was very interested.
So what's the process like in going through? I mean, you've never had a head coaching job, and a lot of head coaching positions, they tend to go to people who have been head coaches before or high-level assistants or, for lack of a better term, name coaches. And you were not an All-American Oklahoma State. You do have a name within wrestling, but when people think name higher, Neil Erisman's not the first one that comes to mind. So when you go through this process, what was it like for you?
It was long. Just the process of, I reached out to a lot of people, and really put a bug in a lot of people's ear about my experience because, most people only know what you don't know. So throughout the process, I was just trying to get it out that, my experience has been unbelievably unique from day one. Being at Oklahoma State, the coaching tree is just growing drastically under Coach Smith. And so he prepares us in a way that you can't even really describe. And so throughout the process, I just tried to really convey humbly that I was more than prepared for this. My time at Oklahoma State and then going to Stillwater High School for a little bit, you learn so much being a high school coach. I think every college coach should have to spend time at a high school. Accolades are one thing and being a national champion, but being the person that has to get up and mop mats and do laundry, go down to the bus stop and drink coffee with the people at the bus stop so you get the best bus and you don't break down. You learn how to build relationships. You learn the value of relationships and treating people the right way, and earning everything, and really learning how to ask for things, and manage a lot of things, wear a lot of hats at once. And then coming to Carolina, we were in a very unique position. Coleman was still training, and for several months it was just me and Coleman. And so we got to do a lot of things together for the first time. He was a first-time head coach, and so I, really got to go through the process of what it's like at every level and all the aspects that are behind that.
You talked about, mopping mats and washing clothes, and then you go to Carolina. It's a Power 5 school. You came through Oklahoma State. It's a Power 5 school. You're going to be in a situation where you're probably not going to have everything that Carolina or Oklahoma State offers at Little Rock, but you're going to have the ability to grow and build. What's the first thing when you find? Well, one, when do you first get to Little Rock? You're still in Chapel Hill wrapping up camp right now, right?
Yeah, we actually just loaded all the camp mats onto the truck, which is why it took 3 hours to have this interview with you. But I don't know when I'm going to get to Little Rock. I believe my start date is going to be somewhere around July 12th. So hopefully a few days before that would be ideal. I'm going to take some time with my family. We're going to go on a vacation. We're going to get away because for a long time it's going to be me and Chase Conk, the AD, and we're going to lock arms and march through this and build this thing from scratch.
So at this point, you've probably, what are you at, 31, 32, that range?
I'm 30 years old. For a couple more months.
Okay, so you're 30, which puts you as one of the youngest, if not the youngest. I know at this point, Daniel Elliott and Roger Kish aren't super young anymore. They're in their 30s now. They've been coaching for a while, but puts you on the bottom end of the age in terms of Division I coaches. Your boss is only four and a half years older than you. As you mentioned, Chase Conk. He was on the show back on episode 430. That was back in April. And at his age and your age, you're contemporaries, you're in the same demographic. What conversations did you guys have that kind of maybe really said, this is the job I really, really want?
Well, I'll say this is Chase he might only be a few years older than me, but you can just see his wisdom and the things that he does is way beyond his years. I'll say this much: he has the best poker face I've ever seen in my life. I could not get a read on him on the phone interview, during our in person on campus interviews. But you can just see his vision and his passion, not just for wrestling, but for Little Rock and for the community and for the state of Arkansas. He brings a lot of knowledge. He's very poised. He's very easy to talk to. He's young. He's relatable. I just felt comfortable with him from the first time I talked to him on the phone. I didn't know what he was thinking, but I felt comfortable with him. And I could tell that he was someone that was going to have my back from day one during this process, because it was going to be tough, just starting something from scratch. And, his vision for Little Rock and what they've done rebranding Little Rock from UALR to Little Rock just really showed his vision that he was willing to move forward. And do the right thing and change things to make it better. And then, him and the Chancellor Rogerson, you could just see that they were excited that this is bigger than just a wrestling program. They're looking at this as to be Little Rock sport, to be something that can really bring the community together and the state together. And that was conveyed from day one, and that really got me excited. You could tell he's a family man. He's got, we each have the same amount of kids, and it seems like he's got great character. So I was excited. He's the one who got me fired up about that job, because I knew that this is going to be a guy that we could, in his own words, lock arms and just go through this together.
When you look around at the state of Arkansas and the college programs, we mentioned Greg Hatcher earlier briefly, but he helped kickstart high school. Well, I don't want to say helped. He basically kickstarted high school wrestling in that state, and then following with college wrestling, we've seen Kevin Ward and what he built at Ouachita Baptist before moving on to West Point. You've seen Kerry Regner, what he did at Williams Baptist, and rising that to a program within the NAI before he went on to Millersville. And you're seeing real growth in Arkansas. One thing that I'm interested in is planning and the future of Arkansas wrestling. There's never been a Division I wrestler from the state of Arkansas to be a Division I All-American. Is it in the back of your mind that you're going to be the guy that's going to take the first Arkansas kid to wrestle Division I on that podium and do it at an Arkansas school?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's at the back of my mind. I think that's right up front. The wrestling has grown tremendously there. They just had a kid. I believe he went to North Dakota State. I could be wrong, but there's a lot of great talent. Pat Smith has a great club. There's several other high school coaches I know in the Arkansas area that have some great kids and great kids club. And with access to information that they have through Flow and other outlets to learn, I think that this is going to be an opportunity to not only just be Little Rock's team, but be Arkansas's team, and for us to help build this wrestling community in this area, and kind of be a model for the whole Southeast. Maybe we could get some of these Southeastern Conference schools to start taking a look at us and saying, hey, this can be done. We can grow wrestling down in this area. And Arkansas is a great state to look at. You're looking at 10 years ago having not one wrestler in the state, and now you got 200 high schools, and you got some Division II, Division III programs, and they're being successful. Kevin took them, I think, in his first 3 years to top 4, top 5 in the country. So I would say Arkansas's first All-American, Arkansas's first national champion is right there at the front of what I'm thinking for our program.
You look at the competition for this job. You had to know that a bunch of your friends were going for this job too, and there's a couple names that were thrown around, former Oklahoma State wrestlers. And what's it like to be battling for the same job with a bunch of people that you scrap with the room you know well? Yeah,
I mean, we're all great friends. The thing about the Oklahoma State family is that if you leave, you're not exiled. You're still part of the family. You still get help. We still talk to each other. But, the thing about Oklahoma State is that we're made to compete. We're made to compete against each other. We're made to compete against everybody else. And, for us, it's just another day in the office competing against each other. That's just something we do. We respect each other. We love each other. But that's just in our DNA. So that really wasn't a big deal.
So you say your first date's approximately July 12th. Of course, Fargo comes up after that. How much of this first couple weeks is going to be getting the word out? I know that social media-wise, our Little Rock's crew has done a good job. They've already got a couple thousand followers to give you a little springboard, at least on the social media aspect. But have you given any thought to how you're going to structure recruiting and schedule building when there's a whole year that you're not competing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of facets to go into that because I can't just recruit one giant class in the same year and then 4 or 5 years later I got nobody. So we got a lot of cool ideas. Their social media team is incredible, and I'm pretty sure that it's just one guy. So he's done an incredible job, and it's actually 5,000 followers. Super impressive. They're well over 5, and we're going to get creative. I think the first thing that that we'll say is, who's going to be the first believer? There's a lot of leaders never really followed people. The great ones, they did their own thing and became great on their own. And I think this is an opportunity for someone that can compete at the highest level to take a chance and say, look, I get to help be a part of that foundation. You take a look at a lot of these programs that are now national powerhouses, and I guarantee you every single one of their coaches will tell you the first person that helped change their program that they recruited. And so I would say, we're looking for the first Little Rock believer, and that's going to happen sooner than later.
You mentioned Pat Smith and the clubs, and of course, again, Greg Hatcher's name thrown around, and we've seen the abundance of college teams there and recruiting within the state of Arkansas. Yeah, you're the Division I guess I'm going to probably compare it to maybe Minnesota, whereas there's only one Division I wrestling program in this state, and it's the Gophers, and people will aspire to be Gophers, and then maybe look elsewhere. Of course, some people want to look south of the border, go to Iowa, but the Division II, Division III programs in this state really get a good chunk of what Minnesota can't take. Now you're going to be in a position, you're the only Division I. How quickly do you think that puts Little Rock on the top of every wrestler in the state of Arkansas's radar?
I think it does quickly. I think it's going to be great for the state to give them I think we can really provide a little bit more identity in who we are and how we wrestle. You go to different parts of the country, and those states, they wrestle kind of like those schools, and they try to mimic that. And I think that's something that we want to do. We want to create an identity for our state for Arkansas wrestling. So I see that being a big, big factor.
What do you think the role is of the college coach to work within the USA Wrestling state chapter within respective states? For example, Arkansas, again, didn't have a team. They didn't have a Fargo team. Then they started taking kids to Fargo. They had an All-American or two here and there now, and a lot of the works of these other states, you're seeing college coaches work with USA Wrestling. You're seeing what you guys did in Carolina, working with North Carolina USA Wrestling on a number of levels. And what do you think the relationship should be between college coaches, regardless of each level, and the USA Wrestling chapters in those states?
Yeah, I mean, I believe we have to be a support system for them, and we really have to advocate for them. USA Wrestling is our governing body, and the models that they have in place with the RTCs and the wrestling clubs that participate and really help grow wrestling in the state, that's imperative. It's something you have to do, and I'm excited to work with Arkansas USA Wrestling. I think they've done a tremendous job, but we can provide a lot of extra resources to continue to help grow that, and I think that's the way the future has been going, and it's here. And so I think we're going to get a little innovative with it, do some things that, within the parameters that we can to be unique and create our own draw and create our own base of wrestlers in Arkansas that are wrestling and competing and winning at the highest level.
Circling back to the recruiting aspect of it, and part of that is the assistant coaching angle. I mean, how big is your short list for potential assistant coaches?
I'll say it's I've gotten a lot of interest from some really good assistant coaches, and I've got a short list of about 4 or 5 that I trust, that I know that'll compliment me well, that'll compliment the program well, that'll be honest with me, that I know at the end of the day will always have my back, and that's going to be something down the road that when I have the ability to hire someone, I think it's going to really shock the world. So we're excited about that.
I want to get into coaching philosophy a little bit because we've touched on Kevin Ward and the success he's had at a school in Arkansas and then on to West Point. And like you, he never achieved All-American honors at Oklahoma State, and that's driven him as a coach to be a better coach, a better recruiter, somebody that talks to their athletes and actually cares about every athlete on the team. What did that collegiate shortcoming do for you in terms of your mindset as a coach?
Well, I'll say when I was done competing, I was maybe a little bitter at the sport a little bit. I was unbelievably disappointed. I spent my whole life and I fell short in the round of 12, and then I realized that, you know, God only gives you, or, you know, he'll give you everything you can handle, and he'll give it to you for a reason. And I shortly, realized that, you know, he gave me a gift to be able to convey things to others and reach them on their level, and to help instill confidence in them. You know, it drives me to never have to have a kid lose in the round of 12. It drives me to help a kid never have to go 0-2 at nationals, because I know that feeling. You know, I think one of the worst feelings I've had as a coach was this year when Kennedy Monday just by a hair lost in the round of 12. You know, that probably cut me worse than I've ever had as a coach, and I hate that feeling for him. And you know, I think that's what drives me. It drives me to serve and help these kids that in a time where, you know, there's a lot of lost kids that you get as a wrestling coach. You know, sometimes wrestling draws misfits and kids that, you know, that don't have the best resources. And so just that whole aspect of not accomplishing my goal and being able to serve these high school kids and create relationships, lifelong relationships, to help them achieve their goals so they don't ever have to feel that. I think that's it. I think that's what drives me. I think that's what has drove me since day one of being a wrestling coach.
As far as philosophy, you talked about the Oklahoma State tree and how much John Smith's roots are really branching out with coaches around the country, and how much of your coaching style is drawn from Coach Smith to the coaches that you had in the room at Oklahoma State, and how much have you kind of taken that and adapted it to your own?
Well, I think that, you know, if you look at us all, we all kind of have similar type coaching styles. We want our guys to wrestle hard. We want them to move forward at a high pace and score points. I'll say I take a lot from Oklahoma State, but I also took a lot from when I was a high school coach and trying to get kids that had never wrestled before, a year or two, trying to get them to state, trying to get them to, you know, get on the podium and get a medal, putting kids in the finals to be state champions that probably had no business. So you learn a lot of great things. And I think we're going to take what I learned at OSU. What we've done here at Carolina has been awesome, with lots of minds. And me and Coleman come from the same place. But we kind of have two different styles. And then you got Coach Hossman, who wrestles. He'll pull on your head till the cows come home. And you know, and then you got Tony Ramos and Kenny Monday here. So we got a lot of aspects that we've kind of put together. And I think it really starts with moving forward and having a high pace and adapting to each student athlete. You know, we're going to do these few things well, and then we're going to do what complements you the best.
When you look at the type of athletes you're going to start approaching, you had success on the mats in Fargo. You won a cadet freestyle title. Matter of fact, looking back at that 2003 year, the champs were pretty notable that year. There was a guy named Henry Cejudo. There's a guy named Troy Nickerson, Hudson Taylor. There's even a guy who's still wrestling, Robbie Smith, that won freestyle titles last year. What do you remember about your experiences in Fargo on the mats representing Team Kansas?
Well, you know, I don't remember having a cadet or junior world team trials to make a world team. And so, you know, Fargo was the pinnacle of what you could win, and it was the pinnacle of what you could do at the time. So, you know, looking back, that was what I strived for in high school. Obviously state championships, but, you know, you wanted to win Fargo. That meant you were the best in the country, and you just won the toughest tournament in the world. That tournament was unbelievable. I think I wrestled 10 or 11 matches when I won that. And so it just showed a lot of character, a lot of heart, a lot of toughness, and that's what I wanted to stand for. And so looking back, that was awesome, you know, wrestling and winning Fargo.
Yeah, and then going through when you placed again at the junior level, I'm looking at some of those names at your weight classes. I mean, Kozar, Patrovich, Rella. I mean, this was it was a grind. These monster brackets, and when you go to recruit Fargo, Now that the bracketing system's a little bit different, the guys back in the day, you could see a guy win 7-8 matches and not place, and they could kind of sneak under the radar. Now again with every match streamed and with a line bracketing system, you know where guys are. There is a true blood round, and when you're sneaking up and recruiting, what's your philosophy on picking those guys that may have, as you said, may have lost in that round of 12 and want something more?
Yeah, I think my philosophy is I'm going to look a lot at. I mean, wrestling's going to speak a lot for itself. Do a lot of research on who they are as a person, what their academics are like, and their attitude and their effort in the room on a daily basis, and then their attitude and their effort when they're at Fargo and they lose in the semis or they lose in the round of 12 or they lose for third and fourth. What do they look like? What's on their mind? And so, looking at it, I think I'm going to look a lot at their character and, how hard they wrestle and when it's tough and how hard they wrestle when it's easy.
When we look at building a program, one of the draws is going to be where you guys end up. Has there been any discussion with your AD on the timeline of Little Rock joining a conference and which conference that may be?
Yeah, we've had some great conversations. I'm not going to talk a lot about the conference of what we're trying to get into, with just respect to the process and what's going on. But
yeah, that's his job. That's his job to take care of. But
yeah, we've had some great conversations, and we're doing everything we can to put ourselves in the best position so we can continue to succeed.
When you sit back and you've had a couple hours, I mean, you haven't even had a couple hours really let this soak in. You've been working camp. So, the announcement comes out and rolling up mats. Are you prepared for this? This is a daunting task, man. This is a brand new program from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And I would say I feel extremely confident in my ability to hit the ground running. I already have a great 90-day plan. I have a 2 to 5 year plan that has been on paper and in my mind for about a month now. When I found out I was going to, get a phone interview, so I came prepared. I have a very solid plan that I believe in, and I believe that Chase and I are going to be able to get together and implement it, and we can work together, adjust and adapt accordingly, and really start marching forward and knocking down some of these milestones.
So from the life of a wrestling coach, between now and July 20th, which you said was your start date, you said you were talking about going on vacation, getting away for a little bit, but what do you have to finish up now at Carolina? Tony Coleman and Bryce are still there, but leaving a place that you guys have helped really raise the profile of a school, that's got to be bittersweet as well.
Man, leaving Oklahoma State and leaving Stillwater was the hardest thing my family's ever done. We love that place so much, but when we came here, it was unbelievably hard. But we're a family here. This is an atmosphere that I believe in my heart that no other program has. When Tony has his baby, we'll have 12 under the age of 7. We're doing life together here. Every part of our program is normal life for us with our kids, with our coaches, with our athletes, with our support staff. So leaving here is right up. It's one of the hardest things we've ever done. As happy as we are sad leaving a lot of great people behind. But we know that this day could come one day, and so we've been prepared. And throughout this process, it's been bittersweet, but probably the most exciting thing I've ever done, and that my family's going to be able to be a part of. And so, as bittersweet as it is, I can't even describe the feeling when you get the call and they say, it's one thing to be a head coach of a program, but to be a head coach of a program that doesn't that didn't exist a couple months ago, and to create something from scratch and to create value into something that wasn't there, man, there's nothing better than that.
So from a marketing perspective, we got the social media taken care of. They're now selling Little Rock Wrestling shirts, which is cool. You can actually customize it, because I picked 2 different ones up as soon as they went on sale, and it was like, I got the long sleeve baseball looking one, and now getting the word out there, getting Little Rock shirts out to people in camp that say Little Rock Wrestling. I mean, there's, the head coach now is a GM. There's a lot more that goes into just recruiting and coaching and building a schedule. So those other things, what are some things that you've got in mind that as soon as you walk in that door July 12th, these are things I get done on day one? I know you got the 90-day plan, but what is your day one, July 12th plan?
Well, I think that Little Rock already has a great brand. So as far as getting the word out, day one, it starts with the people directly in my office, the support staff, getting out and getting in touch with people on campus and building relationships and just really sharing our vision with the program and what we want to do and how that they're a part of it. They're going to be a part of every step of it, and everything that we do from day one is going to be, they're going to be right there with us. They're going to be a huge, huge part of it. And so I think it's about starting where you're at, and it's going to be one by one. Every day we're going to go out and we're going to focus on creating a relationship and winning over someone to be a Little Rock Wrestling fan every single day. So one by one, we're going to continue to build, and it's going to start right in our office, and it's going to spread through campus, through the state of Arkansas, and we're going to get people fired up about Little Rock.
Any ideas? I mean, you and I had talked a little bit about the schedule before we started, but any ideas on who you want that first home opponent to be?
Man, I've had a lot of thoughts on that, and I'll say right now I don't have a definite answer, but the Jack Stevens Center is incredible, and so we're going to look to pack the Jack for the first home duel, and hopefully we can get a top quality guy to be the announcer who announces at a lot of USA Wrestling stuff, the World Championships, the Olympics. I don't know who that would be.
I have no idea who you may be talking about. No clue whatsoever. Pack the Jack. I like that. I'm guessing that's been a thing they've had too, but wrestling's version of Pack the Jack. Like I said, I mentioned something to my wife, and she's like, "How long are we talking here?" I was like, "Oh, this is at least next." She doesn't like when I plan extra trips, so we got a good year and a half to negotiate this one. So November 19. It's not going to come soon enough, but. But, Neil, any final things you wanted to discuss to the wrestling community, something that we didn't touch on that you feel has been important to this whole process of you becoming the first head wrestling coach in history at Little Rock?
Yeah, I'll say there's been a lot of things that have gone on, that just reaching out to people and behind the scenes. I haven't talked about someone who's probably advocated for me. John Smith probably advocated for me, and I know he's trying to help that program, but more importantly, Coleman Scott and his family. Man, I can't even begin to say how much that, when I came here, he made it very clear that if I knew I wanted to be a head coach somewhere, he was going to fight for me. And there wasn't 1 second that I didn't believe he was in my corner to get this job. And I can't say enough good things about how good of friends we are. We've been through some incredibly tough times here at Carolina. We were teammates, and we went through the grind. We went through the hard times, and we went through the good times this year. And just him going to bat for me and saying, I heard him say it probably 100 times. If it wasn't for Neil, we wouldn't be where we're at. And, he's gave me compliments, but more than anything, he believed in me from day one that I left Stillwater High School. Coleman believed in what I could do and what I could bring to this program. So I'd like to say thank you to, his family and for the Tar Heel family from welcoming us and creating relationships with us and letting us feel at home. Because without that, we wouldn't have gotten to where we're at. And my family wouldn't be moving to Little Rock without Coleman Scott and his family. So I'd like to say a big thank you to him.
Did you just volunteer him to help you move? Because what was that saying? It's like keep only the friends who help you move. So Coleman, yep, you're helping him with the U-Haul.
Yeah, actually, I was planning on getting to Little Rock and then calling him, asking him to go load up the U-Haul for me. So,
no, make Bryce do that. He's bigger. He's much more adept at moving the big heavy stuff.
Yeah, Bryce, Mongo over here.
All right, Neil. Like you said, congratulations on the gig. We'll be in touch as this developing program gets going. So I'll probably touch base as you make hires and schedule building. But again, best of luck to you in the future, and congratulations on the new gig at Little Rock.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it, and I also appreciate all you do for wrestling. So thank you.
The Short Time Wrestling Podcast is proudly outfitted by Compound Clothing. Shirts, singlets, custom gear orders, everything you need. Call up Cliff and the crew at cmpteamwear.com. First time listening? Well, you can change that by going to MattTalkOnline.com/GetShortTime to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or listen on your favorite podcatcher at MattTalkOnline.com/listen.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.